How's it going, everyone? This video is going to be over breaker blocks and how I use them in my trading. First, we are going to go over the bearish breaker block and then the bullish breaker block and the structure that defines them. So for a bearish breaker block, we have to have a high, a low, a higher high relative to this high, and then a lower low relative to this low. Where is the breaker block? It is these down close candles or down closed candle right here. And I quickly want to touch on why I believe this works. So if we were going to be creating a trend upwards here, we would expect price to come back, make a higher low relative to this low in this area in these down close candles or order block, which should support price to go higher. However, when we break through that, this support becomes resistance, and that is why we should see a move out of these down close candles. Now, if we were looking at a bullish breaker block, the structure is a low, a high, a lower low relative to this low, and a higher high relative to this high. Where is our breaker block? It would be these up close candles here. And similar reasons as stated before, if we were going to expect this to continue a downtrend, we would expect a lower high put in here before continuing lower. However, that doesn't happen. It fails, breaks through, and this resistance becomes support. The next thing I want to discuss is which part of the candle I use depending on what the candle looks like. For a breaker block with a full body, such as here with little wicks, I will focus on the entire body of the candle, with my main focus being on the closing price and the mean threshold, or 50% of the body there. With candles such as one that looks like this, with a large wick and smaller body, I normally focus on the wick of this candle right here, with the low as well as a 0.5 level of this wick. Similarly, on a bullish breaker block, I will be looking at the full body of the candle here, with my focus being on the close and the mean threshold. And here, with my focus on the wick to the close and a 0.5 fib of that right there. Now that you understand the structure of a breaker block, we are going to search for some examples. So right here, we are going to be going over a bearish breaker block and walking through the structure of it. So if we notice here, we have a high, and here we put in a low. So if we are going to get a breaker block, we would need to break this high and then break this low. So as we go ahead, we now put in a higher high. So to confirm that this is a breaker block here, we would need to make a lower low. Right here, we make a lower low. So now where is our breaker block? If we zoom in, you can see these down close candles between our first high and low before we made a higher high and a lower low would be our breaker block. And here I would use the bodies because we have nice full bodies here. And the reason for using the series and not just a single is because if we go out to a 30-minute or one time frame up, that is our single candle. So going back to our 15-minute chart, we would expect price to be resisted in this area. And what else can we look for? Well, we have a little volume imbalance here, which we can mark out. What else can we mark out? The mean threshold of this. So I go from body to body. So I would expect a reaction in this area. So as we let price play out, and let's extend out our drawings here, zoom out a little. What we want to see is, do our bodies respect this mean threshold? And there we go, we get a nice reaction. If you notice here how our bodies never close over this volume imbalance, but our wicks dig a little bit deeper. For our next example, we are going to go over a bullish breaker block and the top-down analysis to get there. So if you're looking right here, we have a 4-hour fair value gap. Drag that out. And the consequent encroachment of that right there. Now if we drop down to a 30-minute, you notice we have a large up close candle opposite in our direction of our draw on liquidity. And what do we get? A move down there. So zooming in and looking at this, what do we have? We have our low, we have our high, and now we are making a lower low. And so if we let it continue to play on, right there, we get a move higher. Now what do we have? A higher high. So where is our breaker block? This large up close candle here. And for this, I will mark out the body of it, and then also the mean threshold. So as price continues, I would want to see it respect the mean threshold of here. And my most ideal situation is when price taps the mean threshold, but closes out of it. So let's continue on, see what happens. So we touch the mean threshold, still getting respected, and then we get an expansion higher. This final example will show when I use the wick to the closing price of a breaker block rather than the body. So right here, we have a high, a low. So if we are going to form a bearish breaker, we would need to take this high and then take this low, putting in a higher high and a lower low. Right here, we put in a higher high, and then we put in a lower low. So in this case, our breaker would be this down close candle right here, but with a large wick, I would use the close to the low and drag it out, as well as a 0.5 fib from the close to the low. So I'd want to see price being respected and not close over this level right here. You can see it is being respected, and then we get a nice drop lower. I hope this video helped you out. If it did, please consider liking and subscribing. It does help me out. And if there's any other videos you do want made, I do keep a list of all the comments that people leave and their ideas. So just drop them in the comments below and I'll try to get it made at some time. Hope you have a great rest of your day. See you guys later.